So there are a couple of things I wanted to talk about in this video. The first is the rumored PlayStation portable device that allows you to stream your games from your PlayStation 5 over the internet. Now, you can already do that with your PlayStation to a smartphone, and they have these dongles that you can connect to your phone that give you better controls than those virtual controls that you have on a phone that are really, really awful. But I'm thinking to myself, first I heard the rumor that it would play PlayStation 4 games natively, which would be a win. Of course, you'd have to think about storage, how much storage is going to be on this device. But now the rumor is that it is a stream-only device, and I'm thinking to myself, who in their right mind would want that? And why would Sony create something like that? I don't think it would have much of a selling point to anyone, and ultimately it would be limiting the device's potential and the market that it appeals to. I mean, there aren't many people out there that would spend $300 to $400 for a portable device that is tethered to another device, the PlayStation 5. And just think about going outside with that device and trying to connect through the internet on some data plan or even a wireless hotspot. You'd have to leave your PlayStation 5 on at home to access the games on the go. It just doesn't make any sense, and that's why I'm sort of leaning towards this being a rumor, because it just doesn't make any sense to limit a device like that right out of the gate. It doesn't really appeal to anyone. Now, a portable PlayStation 4, I think, would appeal to a lot of people. But again, we have to look into what kind of storage this would have. Can you store one game or two games on the device? I mean, how are they going to make this work on a portable device? The second thing that I wanted to talk about is the idea that Microsoft is being held back in Japan by Sony when it comes to the deals that Sony makes that stop Microsoft from competing in Japan. Now, if you think about that objectively, you have to think about Nintendo, which they don't bring up. They talk about a 98% market share by Sony in Japan because of the deals that they make with Japanese publishers. Sony doesn't have any of these deals, and Nintendo doesn't have any of these deals, and Nintendo is outselling both the PlayStation and the Xbox in Japan, and they have been doing so for quite some time. So this idea that it's Sony's fault that Microsoft can't compete in Japan just isn't true. The reason that Microsoft can't compete in Japan is twofold. One, yes, the Japanese tend to buy Japanese-centric products, and there are American products that sell very well as well, like Apple, but early on, Microsoft did the work. Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon, Infinite Undiscovery, hiring Sakaguchi, the creator of Final Fantasy, to create those games for a Japanese market. They just didn't buy Xboxes. You can't legislate interest into a product. So for instance, if Microsoft forces all of these deals to end, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden people are going to buy Xboxes in Japan. If every single Japanese game launches day and date on the Xbox and the PlayStation, I don't think that that's going to help the Xbox sell in Japan, especially when you factor in that it can't be Sony's fault if Nintendo is essentially curb stomping both Sony and Microsoft in that region. So the PlayStation Portable, Microsoft blaming Sony, these are two of the things that I thought were interesting to talk about. I'm not really too overly concerned with these hot topics when it comes to Microsoft, Xbox, Nintendo that much anymore. I know they drive a lot of traffic and interest, and sometimes they're interesting to talk about, like I am here in this video. Mostly, I'm thinking about that PlayStation Portable. If this is a stream-only device, if this is a device that you have to have your PlayStation 5 left on while you leave, connecting to a hotspot or using some data plan to stream those games over the internet, why would they do that? Why would they waste the money in R&D and creating a product like that when essentially you can buy those doodads connected to your phone to have the twin sticks and play games that way already over the internet? Let me know what you think about this. Do you think this is a rumor? I'm almost 100% certain that this has to be a rumor, because if it isn't, it would be one of the biggest mistakes I think they could make so far this generation. I just don't see them being that out of touch with the market when it comes to hardware, because they're a very hardware-centric company. You look at the success of the PlayStation 5, the way it was designed, geared towards a particular market. They knew what they were doing. I can't see them going from that to this sort of odd stream-only device that's tied to the PlayStation 5. It just doesn't make much sense. Also, let me know about Xbox's future in Japan. Do you think that they could eventually sell a little bit more? Maybe those deals are hurting Xbox in Japan. I don't think that even if those deals didn't exist, Xbox would do well in Japan, especially since, like I said, during the Xbox 360 era, they did what I think they should have done, and that's create Japanese-centric content, and that didn't get it done. So I don't think anything at this point is going to help them sell that much in Japan. And early on, they really didn't focus on a global product. The Xbox was primarily built for an American audience. Take a look at the Duke and tell me that that thing is going to sell in Japan. Of course, they changed it around, but they didn't do themselves any favors early on. Let me know what you think about these two topics in the comments section below. If you liked the video, think about hitting that like button and maybe even subscribing to the channel. I'd really appreciate that, and I'll see you in the next video.